Hello, and welcome to the Journey of Grief, Becoming Us Without Them. My name is Barbara Field. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in Sacramento, California. I specialize in the treatment of trauma and attachment and addiction and grief. And I started this channel just to provide resources for all kinds of people who are doing all kinds of grief. And I'm working really hard to find all the kinds of grief there are and get some people here to talk about it. And so that it's just a place where you know that your grief is just right and it's great to grieve and your grief should be honored and valued. And today I have invited some really brave and wonderful women to talk to us about the grief that's associated with human trafficking. And so I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves and just tell us what you want us to know about you. So let's start with Ashley.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and am involved in the anti-trafficking movement quite a bit lately. I am a commissioner on the Sacramento County Commission for the Status of Women and Girls. I'm also a member of the Orange County Human Trafficking Task Force and a subject matter expert listed in the Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training, or POST. And There, I consult law enforcement across California, equipping officers with trauma-informed tools to better recognize and respond to human trafficking. And lastly, I am the founder and acting executive director for Diamond Collective, which is a space where I curate monthly restorative experiences to empower women who have been trafficked and invite their children in as well, and we promote building confidence, community, and connection um, to disrupt cycles of exploitation and promote long-term healing.
That's awesome. Okay, how about Bella?
Hi, I'm Bella. I'm a mother of two, a paralegal, and a survivor advocate. I have been free for the past 8 years and have been working on rebuilding my life. I was a survivor of trafficking from the ages of 15 to 35, and it was labor trafficking and other forms of abuse. So over the last 8 years, I've just been working on rebuilding my life, and now I'm working on helping others. Thanks.
That's great. And Bri.
Hi, my name is Bri. Um, I'm a survivor of trafficking. I was trafficked as a teen, and um, I've, dedicated my life since then to helping others not have to go through the same thing. Um, my sister unfortunately passed away after being trafficked as well at the age of 23. So I now share my story and her story, and just the different perspectives. I've trained law enforcement, gone into schools and trained teachers, social workers. Um, I've been called in um, to speak to survivors after they've, been found, when they're in the hospital and things like that. I've also helped work on several bills over the last 3 years, um, helping to make it a serious felony to traffic minors and then also to purchase minors.
That's
And then
awesome.
I now run several businesses. I have a gourmet popcorn shop that employs survivors, and then I run a toy store as well.
That's great. And you're a mom.
And I'm a mom.
Spanking new baby, right?
I'm a mom to four amazing kids, three that I've adopted, and then my brand new 4 month old. So
Cool. That's awesome.
be busy.
Okay, so I asked all of you to give me a topic that you would feel it was important for us to discuss. And we'll start with Ashley. So, Ashley invited us to talk about the grief associated with the time that you lose with your family when you're being trafficked and not at home with your family. So, Ashley, can you get us started with that?
Absolutely. So, just a little background. I am a survivor of human trafficking as well. I was trafficked from 16 to 19 years old across California into Nevada and Washington. And I was considered a runaway in terms of, law enforcement. I was constantly leaving my home, and my mom didn't know where I was. I'm pretty sure she was extremely worried. There's evidence of that. She was making missing persons reports, and the whole time I was with traffickers and being trafficked. And um, it really tore the relationship between me and my mom and me and my brothers. I have two younger brothers, and I think that they consider the time that I was being trafficked as like abandonment because I was considered a runaway, and I wasn't there for them. And I one time had my brother run away with me, my middle brother, and he was excited to leave because we were in a very toxic household. But I knew that I didn't know I was being trafficked, but I knew I was in the game, and I didn't want something to happen to him. I didn't want him to be sold for sex. So I told him, I think you should go back home out of protection. So he ended up going back home, but to him, that probably felt like abandonment and rejection and all of that. We don't have a relationship right now. And since I'm now out of all of that, my mom has passed away, and I lost my mom over 12 years ago. I lost her in 2014. So it's almost 12 years. And I had maybe 3 or 4 years where I was out of that lifestyle and able to like rebuild a relationship with her, but it wasn't very long at all. And there's a lot of grief that I hold on to, wondering if I would have just made a different decision, or if, why didn't my trafficking end earlier so that I would have had more time with my mom? Um, and it's just a grief that I carry.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Bella? You want to talk about
Yeah,
grief related to your family?
I totally understand actually and relate. Before I met my trafficker, I had a close relationship with my grandmother. Um, and I would look forward to spending the holidays with her. We would do Thanksgiving and Christmas every year, with the family. And I remember I wasn't able to do that anymore as a teenager. I missed out on seeing my grandmother and the holidays, and I didn't get to participate in that. And instead, I would just be in a cold house with no family, no decorations, nothing, just other women and I watching movies and not able to leave or do anything. And it was very hard and sad. And I felt a lot of guilt because I knew I was disappointing my family and they didn't know what was going on, but I couldn't tell them what was happening to me. So um, I still, to this day, I lost my grandmother when I was around 21 and I wasn't able to be there for her. I wasn't able to go to her funeral. Um, and I have tremendous guilt because I found her journals after she passed away. And my mom had them, and I read some of the things she was saying, and she was very hurt by me not being there. And I was her sweet granddaughter, and she didn't understand. And I still find myself praying and asking God, please let my grandma know that I love her and I miss her and I'm sorry. And um, so now, and I wasn't able to, like, for me, the holidays were huge because it was traditions that my family shared. And since I wasn't able to do that for so long, I feel like now I'm trying so hard to make up for that time. I'm trying to recreate those traditions and do the same things for my children so they can experience the joy I had during that time and just make it as magical as it was for me. But it's still not the same. And I still like feel that ache because it's not the same. And so I feel I do have a lot of grief of the time that I missed with my family, and it was also my siblings too. I feel like I was the oldest, and our house wasn't the best, and I feel responsible for the things that happened to them after I wasn't there, and the way that they turned out and the struggles they've had. And our relationships are still healing, but they're not what they should be. So it's tough, but just holding on to the hope that this life isn't all there is, and someday I'll be reunited with my grandmother just keeps me hopeful. So
Thank you so much. And how about you, Bri? The loss of time and experiences with family while you were away.
Yes, for me, I mean, my family relationships are still strained as a result of that, where some are still seeing me as that broken little girl that was, being trafficked. And, before that, I grew up in a single family household. I was a middle child of 5. And, me and my siblings, we were pretty close, growing up. And, after just, it caused a strain on all of us. It caused a lot of trauma in them, just having to grow up with my mom, like Ashley mentioned, like always searching for me and always putting up missing flyers. And in a way, it sold a piece of their childhood as well as it sold a piece of mine, because they didn't get to have that, happy mom who was able to, she was there, but, she was grieving as well. And obviously, worried looking for her daughter at that time. So as I got older, just trying to rebuild some of the relationships with my family. I was able to rebuild some of them and others not so much. Thankfully, I was able to rebuild my relationship with my little sister. Growing up, she was not too happy or fond of me, especially because of me being out there, and she thought it was stupid, and she thought, like, what's wrong with you? And, she didn't know what was really going on. She's 4 years younger than me, and didn't know why someone would go into that life. And just, this was, I got out in 2012, as this was before people were really speaking about trafficking. And, all she knew is what she saw about prostitution on the TVs. And she's like, why would you do this? And so thank God I was able to rebuild my relationship with her before she passed, and we became very close. But then there is also that grief of, obviously she was trafficked as well. And did my experience lead to that for her? The abandonment she must have felt, the wounds, like the soul wound she got from, me experiencing it, left her open to experience it herself. And ultimately she lost her life. So there is that I grieve. I mean, I hit a really deep depression a few years ago. I'm after her passing for a few years. And I'm finally like popping out of that. But yeah, that is something.
Yeah, that sounds all kinds of terrible. All of those. Okay, so Bri, you wanted us to talk about the grief that hits after it ends, after you get away, you escape. Now you're trying to come down out of the chaos and step into a different kind of a future. So what would you like us to know about that?
So first off, I really wanted to speak about this because I feel like this is something people don't discuss. For me, it was a really difficult process. When I was in it, yes, it was hard. Like people always say, like, how could you do that? But you almost become numb. And so you just go through every day. I didn't want to be there. At some points, on the outside, it looked like it, but I had to kind of psych myself out. Like, I'm not going to be able to get out of this life, so I might as well enjoy the best I can. But I didn't. And I would have my moments when I was alone, when everybody else was asleep, or when all the other girls were out, or when I was walking the streets early in the morning by myself, where I would cry and I would cry out to God. So yes, I definitely had hard times, but it was nothing compared to after I got out. When I got out, I remember I got out and I hid for months. My trafficker was in jail, but he had people still looking for me and still watching me. And so I just hid in the house for months, in a friend's house. And I remember the first day that I was there, I remember him saying, "Oh, you can just, I have to work, but you can just stay here and you can watch TV and you can cook." And I'm like, what? And to me, it was so foreign at that time to just be there and do nothing, just be in peace. It was the hardest thing ever, just to have a quiet house, because I was so used to having chaos, constant people coming in and out, people getting beaten, people taking different calls. So it was just the hardest time to have peace. And then also the other thing that was very difficult for me is learning my new normal, how to be quote unquote normal. In that life, I was taught to look down. I was taught to not speak, to men especially. I was taught to fear Black men. I was taught to not trust anyone. And so learning how to trust again. And that's something, I still struggle with, this learning to trust, but learning how to trust people again. And that although this world could be crazy, not everyone's out to get you. Learning that. And then it's also been a very healing journey on the same time, is training law enforcement. So I was taught not to trust them. And so, yeah, that's just been hard. When I first escaped, I used to stutter, and I was so quiet. I didn't talk, which people who know me now know I talk a lot. So that's so funny, but I didn't talk very much. I would stutter. And I remember I was asked to speak by an organization called Love Never Fails, who had helped me after my escape. And I was like, me? Like, you want me to speak? Do you hear me speak? And I really found a lot of healing through that. But I just think more people should be comfortable with speaking about the journey that they have to go through afterwards.
Yeah, it seems extremely hard. Yeah. Seeing all those faces looking at you at the various levels of acceptance and judgment seems very hard.
One more thing I did want to mention is another thing that was really difficult was trying to work afterwards. So I escaped about 6 months before my 18th birthday. And so I started applying for jobs around like 18, 19, and nobody would hire me. I applied to McDonald's, Taco Bell, all the low entry jobs, right? And nobody was hiring me. And internally I thought like, oh, they must all know what I've been through. They must all saw my photos, my posters. And so even once I did get jobs, it was difficult then, because, I had been through all this trauma. I had experienced all this grief, and my coworkers would talk about things like breaking their nails, right? And for me, I had to learn that for me, that was difficult, because it's like that was their biggest thing. Their biggest thing was like, oh my goodness, I broke my nail. Oh my goodness, I can't go get my nails done. And I'm like, if you only knew my story, like that's the least of my worries. And so I just had to go through the process and learn that it's okay to be okay.
That is weird. It's totally different, but I went through this period of severe depression where it took me 45 minutes to decide what to wear to work in the morning. I just could barely function at all. One whole Christmas wandered by without me even glancing up. And when I would be like at church, when people would say, I just get so depressed when the traffic is bad, I just kind of wanted to say something so mean Maybe like no talking, no talking.
Yeah, I went through that period.
Yeah. Okay. How about you, Ashley? Talk about that grief that hits right after you escape.
Yeah, I relate so much to what Bri was saying. I feel like the first thing that popped up for me was, getting back into the workforce. And I remember getting one of those low-paying jobs and having to reframe what I considered my worth, because even though I wasn't keeping the money when I was being trafficked, I associated my worth with that amount of money. And
Mhm.
going from making large sums of money in one day to, I was working at Taco Bell when I first got out of the life, and I was bringing home like $260 every 2 weeks on minimum wage. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how am I supposed to do this? And I really had to like break down the psychology in my mind of the economics of what trafficking did to me, and like mentally. And so I would just tell myself like this isn't going to last forever, because that's what I would tell myself when I was in the game. Like if I was in a bad situation, this isn't going to last forever. So I would tell myself that when I was working at Taco Bell and getting those low paying checks. And um, it was really just hard to survive without the temptation to go back into the life because of, my association with my worth tied to the amount of money that I was bringing in. And since then, I've grown and healed so much to where I've learned that my worth isn't tied to any amount. Like if I were to sit down on my couch for the rest of my life and do absolutely nothing, no job, no work, no nonprofit, no commissioner stuff, no training law enforcement, I would still be valuable. So, having to unpack all of that, I think was the hardest thing for me. And I was very hyper vigilant when I got out. So I pushed through and I'm like, if I was able to walk on the blade for, 8 hours, I should be able to work at Taco Bell for 8 hours. I would tell myself that stuff, so that I could just keep pushing through. And yeah, that was one aspect, the work stuff. And then, what Bri was saying, like with society, just getting back into society, not trusting. I think that was my biggest thing. I didn't trust people. I didn't trust systems, people. Um, Only those that I knew had my best interest at heart and that held their integrity throughout me being trafficked. Like they weren't tempted to ask me for money or ask for favors or, even I was in group homes in and out when I was younger. And even in those times, group home staff were asking me for money and I would give it to them. One lady wanted me to get her windows tinted. So I was like, here, you can borrow the money to get your windows tinted. Never got the money back. But it was like different things like that happened to where after trafficking, I just really didn't trust anybody except the ones that were true and honest. And um, I still have them in my life today. So I'm grateful for that. I think also my sense of what my support system wasn't there. I felt like I had nobody. I felt very alone. And God had to reveal to me, like, these people, even if it's few, are your support network. These are your tribe. This is your circle, and helped me to find value in people without them giving me stuff. So even though they weren't able to provide me a job or give me money or a place to stay, like their encouragement was valuable. Them speaking life into me was extremely valuable and showing me that they believed that I could overcome what I had meant so much to me. And so there was a lot to learn, I think, for me after my trafficking ended, as far as what value and worth really mean, what it meant in the game, and what I want it to mean out here, what it what's true? What does the Bible say about worth and meaning and value? And how does God feel about me? How does he value me? So, yeah, that's a little bit that I want to share.
Awesome. Okay, Bella.
Yeah, I definitely relate both to Bri and Ashley. Um, I remember when I first escaped, I was shell-shocked for a long time. I was pregnant and I really had no choice but to leave. And it was, I didn't know what I was going to do or what my next step was going to be or who, if there was even, if I would even survive. So it was a really scary time. And um, fortunately, by the grace of God, I was able to go to a shelter. And I think I spent probably a month not really being able to get out of bed, just decompressing. And um, I couldn't get out of bed until I listened to, I think, a Joyce Meyer episode on YouTube. And then over time, the words and the truth started to sink in, and I was able to start to get up. But it was still it took a long time to even be able to process what happened and what I had been through. I still felt scared, guilty, ashamed. I felt like I was in trouble for leaving. I spent a long time saving my receipts for everything I bought because I was afraid that he would get me back and I would have to answer for every penny that I spent. I was still very conditioned and I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know how to make decisions. I had never really made my own decisions. So, for instance, ordering food. If someone would take me to go eat and ask me what I want, I would just say, "Oh, you order for me." And they would look at me like, "What do you mean? Just get what you want." And that was hard, just being able to make my own decisions. And um, I had a lot of, I felt grief because I was pregnant, um, but wasn't excited um, because there was so much uncertainty. And um, also, like Ashley and Bri touched on, not having a support system, being alone, um, and not knowing who to trust or who to turn to, um, not really having anyone was really difficult. And then trying to go to church and join community groups and sisterhood groups and reaching out and feeling like I didn't fit in because when I'd share my story, people would kind of back away or shrink back, like they didn't know how to handle it or process it. And I learned that it's too much to dump on people. So I couldn't really be myself, and I didn't feel like a normal, like those are the normal people, and then there's me. Um, I don't know how to be that like normal. I don't know how to be like that. So I just didn't feel like um I was a normal person. So I'm still kind of struggling with that. Like I'm more successful now. I've gone to school, gotten a degree, and have gotten jobs. But when I first got my first job, I just remember thinking any minute they're going to fire me because they're going to find out about my past, which wasn't logical. And then I'd be surprised if they said, "Oh, you're doing a great job." I wouldn't know how to receive that because I was so used to being told how bad I was. And so I still to this day struggle with that. And um, I think there is grief for survivors. It's hard for other people to understand. When you escape, your struggle doesn't end. It's just beginning. And there aren't enough support systems or resources out there for us. So I'm glad that this conversation is happening.
Yeah, so Bri made a good point. In the chaos of the life, the unpredictability and the violence and all of that, That is a terrible thing. And yet, it definitely distracts you from noticing how you're really feeling, that your heart is breaking, that you're lonely, that you're scared. It hides the real you in the chaos of the life. And when the chaos is gone and we just land, um, everyone who comes out of a chaotic life, regardless of whether it's chaotic, when you land in your body, oh, these are feelings. Oh, none of them are very good. I can only imagine landing in the absence of the chaos, in the quiet of, okay, so this is my life now. It seems so hard. Okay, go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, I wanted to add something I remembered as I was listening to Bella and you talk. Another thing that was really prevalent for me was paranoia. And I was constantly feeling like Bella said, like somebody's gonna find out. Um, I I don't really know how to say this, so I'm just going to say the best that I can, but because I haven't really verbalized it, but I feel like in the game I had to perform a certain way, just like you said, like you're hidden inside of, a different reality really of who you are. And out of it, when I came out of it, I felt this need to perform so that people would accept me because I didn't want them to know what had happened, what I had done. It took 4 years for me to identify as a trafficking victim or a survivor. I didn't know what trafficking was when I first exited the life. I felt like I had made all of these choices. They were terrible. I was a runaway. I constantly was messing up, and now I wanted to get my life together. And so I presented and performed the best to my of my ability so that other people would accept me, so that I could fit into society, assimilate, um, and try to build this different life that had nothing to do with the other life. And I numbed myself coming out the same way that I numbed myself while I was in the game so that I didn't have to feel the judgment. I didn't have to feel the shame because I acted like none of that had even happened. I didn't want people to know about my past, let alone bring it up and talk about it. So when I finally did start sharing about it, it was extremely hard for me because I hadn't gone through any healing. I didn't really know that I needed to heal from it. I didn't know that I was going to need therapy ongoing. Um, and I think it's the reality for a lot of survivors. Like they're so guilted while they're in the game, that when they come out, they just feel like they made all these horrible choices. There's no fault at all to the trafficker or the pimp. And they have to now, perform better and do better in life so that all of that won't matter at some point. At least that's how I felt. Like, if I do enough good stuff, then this won't matter as much. So I thought that was important to share.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for adding that. Okay, so Bella wanted us to talk about how hard it is to be a parent when you're in survivor mode. And we know trauma sort of moves you out of your body. You are the ghost of yourself going through the motions, but who you really are, what you were created to be, the amazing person that you're able to be now is hidden. And that unprocessed trauma and loss, it's like toxic waste. It doesn't go anywhere. And if you don't get that out of there, it will push behavior. So whether you have horrific unprocessed trauma and loss, or just terrible trauma and loss, or just crappy unprocessed trauma and loss, it affects everything. It affects how you react to everyone. It affects how you parent your children, how you relate to your partner, how you relate to your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers. So all of that, and then trying to be a parent now and none of you described like you had these wonderful, happy, healthy, well-adjusted parents who modeled parenting for you. So I knew what not to be. I didn't want to beat my children like my mom. I didn't want to scream at my children like my mom. I didn't want to be hateful and nasty to my children like my dad. So that's a short list. I'm going to not do those things. But then what am I going to do? How do you parent? How do you be a different kind? Well, when you add all that to everything that you guys have gone through, how? So let's talk about that, Bill, the trying to parent and in the midst of trying to process unhealed parts of yourself.
I had my first child, my son, while I was still in that situation. So that's the whole, I mean, hard. He was the light, my light in the middle of the dark situation. But, and I felt like I had to shield him as much as I could from any abuse or knowledge of what was happening to me. So even starting when in the hospital, like I had another woman sitting there watching me. So that experience, the experience of my son's birth was traumatic. The trafficker was there. He didn't want me to get any medication. So I was trying to go naturally and it wasn't happening. And so he left and left one of his other women to watch me give birth to my son. So just thinking back and remembering like I didn't have family there with me. It was a scary, horrific experience. I had to have an emergency C-section and I had no one to comfort me or anything. And then I was alone in the hospital for 4 days. He didn't hold my baby. And when he came to pick me up, he had me carry everything and just walked in front of me. So there was a nurse that saw that and started and came up and helped me to the car. But after that, I was pretty much on my own with my son, and I was happy being with my son. Um, I would be, I would shower him with love, and I mean, from what I remember of my childhood, I had enough knowledge of how to try to be a good parent. So I would try to be the best mom I could. Um, but I wasn't able to I was not allowed to show much affection to my son while I was there. And he'd get punished if he showed emotions. So that was the first 7 years of his life. And there were other women and children in the situation. So that complicated things. And there was a lot of competition. And it wasn't a good experience as, for my first child. It was still, for me, my son was the biggest blessing. But I feel grief that my son didn't have the childhood he deserved growing up. I tried to make up for it as much as I could. Whenever other people weren't around, I would, snuggle with him and try to just make his life as normal as possible. I remember making a cutout Christmas tree out of construction paper one year and sticking it to the wall because we didn't have a tree. So, and then with my daughter, it wasn't, again, I was pregnant and being forced into an abortion. And so I wasn't able to feel excitement about my pregnancy. It was fear and terror, basically. I felt a connection with her, but I didn't feel like I could enjoy it. I had to hide it until I was able to escape. And then after that, I wasn't excited because the fear of the future was so uncertain. So I wasn't really able to enjoy it. Fortunately, the shelter I was in, they did provide me with a lot of baby stuff and um, they provided me with a safe place after I gave birth. And um, I had a little bit of family come and visit, so it was somewhat um, normal, but I didn't have a baby shower or things like that. And I still look back when I see other people having baby showers and like couples photos. I do feel that grief, like I missed out on that experience. And then as soon as I left, my trafficker filed for custody of both my children, including my unborn daughter. So that has been the hardest thing for me to deal with. I have I felt like I've been in survival mode trying to protect my children from the trauma that I went through for the last 8 years. And I haven't been able to just relax and enjoy being a mom. I don't have a man to support, to do things around the house, to do the heavy lifting. And on top of that, I have to face the trafficker in court every few months and worry that he's going to somehow get access to my kids and carry out his threats or inflict trauma on them. So it's been very challenging to heal in this environment. I mean, I've still been able to fortunately process a lot of trauma, and by the grace of God, I'm still here. My kids are healthy and amazing and happy. But I do feel guilty that I'm sure that I haven't been the best mom that I could be because I have this hanging over my head. And um, I don't feel like I have been able to give them the best life. Um, for that reason, I'm working on changing laws. And with the help of Ashley and others, lawmakers, we've been able to put forth a bill called AB 1375 that is bringing awareness to trafficking in the family court system. And hopefully, we'll keep adding more protections going forward that will strengthen the protections for survivors in family court, because right now you would think that there would be more protections, but there isn't really much awareness of trafficking as far as
Really amazing how all that stuff can happen in criminal court about your trafficker, and family court ignores it as if it never happened. Yeah. So Bri, how about you? Can you talk about parenting while being a trauma survivor? And
Yeah. So I guess I'll start off with this. For me, sorry, my baby's waking up. For me, initially I was told like I probably wouldn't be able to have kids. And I do have something called PCOS, which makes it more difficult. Sorry. Give me this. Okay. Okay, girl. All right. So I do have something called PCOS, so it makes it more difficult. But for me, it was A, was that caused because of the trafficking? And B, will I ever be able to have kids because of that, because of all the trauma that I've experienced? And so I've just kind of gone through life with that. I was previously married, tried for several years, and nothing would happen. I did get married this year. And just the shock and awe of God that I conceived my daughter. It's just been a miracle and amazing. I have my 3 other amazing kids, which I've adopted, and even navigating that, just trying to be the best mom to them, and not repeat some of the things from my past, and learning how to shield them from that as well. I mean, I know it does happen to boys, so obviously I shield them, but also my daughter, just making sure that she's safe and she's protected, and that she knows she's loved, because there were things that led me even down the path of being trafficked before I ever encountered the trafficker. So just helping her to be secure and loved, and know that she can come to me and talk to me about anything. Yeah.
it's awesome. Thank you. And how about you, Ashley? Parenting as a survivor.
Yeah, it's definitely been difficult. I have one son, he's 16 now, and Um, he's just like Bella said, like the light of my life, like everything I prayed for. And um, my challenges have been really with communication. I feel like my mom didn't communicate with me a lot. Growing up, it was kind of like you just do what you're told, and you don't ask why, and you're not, you know, taught to be curious or stay curious. That's not rewarded. It was just like it's disrespectful. So those are some things that I've kind of carried into parenting that I'm not proud of, but it's like these are the natural feelings that I have when um what I was taught and raised to do as a child, um, and what I was taught was disrespectful is done to me now as a parent. So just trying to be open-minded and um, learning, constantly learning. Like I'm reading some books and listening to audiobooks and podcasts that are really helpful. Um, I take being a parent very seriously. I want my son to stay safe, and I feel like I've put him in a lot of environments where he has been um, kept safe, but then he has another parent. So co-parenting has been very difficult, and I've I've seen that he's been exposed to unsafe environments um, with my ex-husband, and it's just been devastating for me. There's been a lot of nights of prayer, a lot of, having my Bible open, like asking why. And I have really good friends in my life that remind me that just like God was working in my life when I was a teenager, He's working in my son's life, even if I can't see it right now. Like, I know that He's doing a work in him. And, um, so I'm learning how to trust that, learning how to trust that there is that adolescent process where they are more inquisitive and combative and argumentative, and that it's a natural phase of learning for teenagers, and trying to give grace as much as possible to that, and really hopeful for the future. Like I want him to be that adult child that wants to come visit me on the holidays and wants his mom to make sweet potato pie for Thanksgiving every year, and brings his kids to visit me. And so I'm thinking of those things.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, it is really hard, regardless of who you are, to distinguish between this is happening because I'm a bad parent and this is happening because this is happening.
Can I
Yeah.
just add one more thing that came up when Ashley was talking? One thing I really struggled with is feeling like, I mean, I do have faith, but these things were allowed to happen to me. So I feel like I am the only thing standing between my children and something bad happening, and all the responsibility is on me. And that's a huge weight to carry. Um,
It's
so
hard.
surrendering that and doing what I can, but let me be okay regardless. It's very hard.
Yeah.
And I don't be that parent that just washes their hands like what happened with me. I want to be that person who's going to be their protector. And like I feel like sometimes my only purpose in life is to just be here to shield them. Like it doesn't matter what happens to me, I can take it all as long as it doesn't touch them. And I know that that's probably not right, but currently that's what my life feels like. So it's tiring and exhausting, and I'm grateful though. At the same time, I'm holding all these different emotions. Like I'm tired and I'm exhausted, but I'm so thankful that I have them and they're safe and they're healthy and happy, and that I can change the way I'm parenting them. Um, like Ashley was saying, teaching them boundaries and to be respectful. I mean, not to be open and to share their opinions and not be afraid to question things. Not to just feel like they have to do what they're told just because. And so it's really rewarding to see how they're growing. And
Poor
yeah,
kids. Okay, so at the end of my videos, I'm just so grateful and honored that you trusted me to do this with you. And if if people just took one thing away from this, if they didn't watch any of this except the last 5 minutes, and you just could send people off with the thing that you think is the most important thing for people to know. So what is your 1 minute wisdom? And let's start with Ashley.
Okay. Um, so there's a quote. It goes something like, um, everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. And at the end, I think it says be kind or stay kind. So I would say that. And also remember to have grace because none of us are perfect. So when somebody cuts you off in the parking lot, takes your parking spot, when somebody jumps in line and ahead of you and in a grocery store, or because they have a whole bunch of kids and one of their kids just jumped in line, like have grace. You have literally no idea what they're going through. And I think we're all living proof of that. I don't think anybody could look at us right now, the women we are, the strength that we hold, the boldness that we carry, and the authority that we carry, and be able to say what we've been through. But we have, and it's something that we carry with us, but it's also something that we don't have to let have take power over us. So just remember to be kind.
Awesome. That's awesome. Okay. How about Bri? What is your 1 minute wisdom for us?
I would say no matter what you experience in life, only you can decide who you become. Um, again, we've all been through so much trauma and such traumatic things as a part of our trafficking experience, but we've all overcame it and we've all blossomed. And actually, all of us have worked on passing laws. Um, and it's just something that I could have never imagined that I would be anywhere close to where I am now when I was that 16, 17-year-old little girl.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That is really important to understand no matter where you are. There's no telling where you're going to go next. Okay, Bella, what's your 1 minute wisdom for us?
I don't, I think mainly just most people probably have an idea in their head of what a survivor looks like. And just, I hope they can take away from this that we're just normal people and that it's okay to treat us like normal people, and be friends with us. And we need a village to help, to come around us. So don't be afraid to offer to be part of that, be that village of support system because it does take a village. Um, and we really, like, I really want to give back. So I'm looking forward to
Thank
building
you.
relationships and community.
So I want to thank all of you for the work you do in the community. Every single one of you is changing the world, and a lot of people just watch the world go by. And in addition to the fact that community work is hard, bringing a story like yours forward and using it, it's sort of like that's the way that God is redeeming the years the locusts have eaten by turning what was intended for evil that you are using for good. And I hope you're all really proud of yourself and the hard work that you're doing because it's amazing. And so thank you again. And I'm going to stop the recording.